you. Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I'm co-hosting with COVID today, so I really apologise for any heavy breathing or coughing that comes up. I'm the Education Content Manager at OET. I'm part of the education team there. And the title for my talk today is From Crisis to Content or Content, both applicable. I'm going to talk about running an online challenge, outline why we did it at OET, how we did it, some of the benefits that we find, and I'll share some tips and tools that will hopefully be transferable to your context as well. So I'll start with the why. And for context, for those unfamiliar, OET is a language test used as proof of English proficiency for registration, study and work in the healthcare sector, as well as for visas in some countries. And the company vision is to connect the world to better healthcare. OET runs over 300 test venues in 61 countries. And our candidates are, of course, healthcare professionals, the vast majority nurses, followed by doctors, and we test 10 other professions as well. And many take OET to be able to work abroad in the UK, Australia, and the US. And many, of course, are working full-time while they prepare for their test. And of course, in March 2020, COVID arrived to disrupt everybody's plans. The world was grounded and language testing, including OET, was for the most part suspended indefinitely. And meanwhile, our candidates were really called into action like never before, face-to-face with a lot of uncertainty, face-to-face with the virus, in unimaginable conditions. But despite that stress and being overworked, sometimes battling illness themselves, the OET candidates were not giving up on their dreams of working abroad. So all this is to say that we had a lot of candidates whose tests were suspended or likely to be suspended, and whose hopes and dreams were suddenly under threat. So the challenge for OET was to meet our candidates in their new reality, exhausted, time poor, and in a very anxious holding pattern. And we tackled the crisis on several fronts by expanding the customer support team, offering rescheduling and refunds wherever needed. And in the education team, the challenge was to keep the candidates motivated and connected, and importantly, to use that pause as an opportunity to advance their language development and test readiness. And so one of our responses is the topic of my talk today, and we call it the Improve Your English Challenge, or IYE for short. And this is a 6-week challenge, which we've been running for 3 years now. And full disclosure, I was not yet with OET in 2020, so I do want to give credit for the initial idea and the first iteration to my colleagues who brought it to life. The idea initially was to engage candidates with a light and fun distraction, which also promoted language learning and fostered a sense of community among our candidates. And it involved creating new content released on a weekly basis with a focus on quizzes and games and fun things with a healthcare tilt, running weekly live streams, and we created a Facebook group for the duration of the challenge. The first IYE was put together in the space of 2 weeks, very quickly, while people were grappling with new working from home arrangements. And it was executed basically by adding pages to our website. This is a snippet, a screenshot from the original. And the two main categories were activities and videos, plus a weekly checklist, which was a single page with just study suggestions, and a chat tile here, which linked to the Facebook group. So within the activities section, there were quizzes and crosswords and word searches, all separated into 6 separate weeks. And the content was published at the start of each week. Some of these were simply embeddable activities like this from a site called ProProfs, which had ready-made healthcare material. Some of it was just text-based quizzes or activities like this. And in our video section, we had YouTube videos accompanied by a comprehension or a reflection question. And the challenge was promoted via social media and the accompanying live streams went out on our Facebook. So in 2021, that's when I joined, and Improve Your English was hidden after its second iteration. And when I joined, I was tasked with its resurrection. So working with our marketing and education colleagues, we took the best bits of the first iterations of IYE and added a lot more to it, and really focused on turning it into something that could become a repeatable campaign that we could run again and again. So some of the major changes that we made were, first of all, meatier content. So rather than package our content under quiz, under activity type, like quiz, crossword, word search, we made 3 new categories to make the purpose more explicit. So now we have these 3 buckets: grammar, vocab, and workplace English. And within those 3 buckets, we created a lot of new content targeting important aspects of communication for OET and for the healthcare workplace more generally. So for instance, this is the first 2 weeks of content, the tiles, and each one leads to a web page, basically. So in grammar, we have lessons on things like tenses, making questions, passive voice, areas that are important for test success and that we know candidates struggle with. Vocab, we have a range of healthcare related vocabulary, and we kept things like crosswords and added flashcards, dictation, and other interactive elements. And in workplace English, we focused on things like active listening, showing empathy, and people-centered care. These are elements of the OET speaking test, part of the marking criteria, and of course, very important in healthcare. I'll talk more about how we made the actual activities, but most of them were H5P, and Benjamin gave a great talk on Tuesday about this. So I won't go into it too much, but here's an example of one of our grammar lessons. It's just kind of stepped out with texts and activities and a lot of stuff to do in a short piece of content there. The other change was to add a downloadable study planner. So this is, learners can use this to set their weekly goals and to reflect on their progress each week. And this doubled as lead generation for us. They have to put their email in to be able to download. So this helps us keep participants up to date and informed of the challenge progress, remind them of upcoming live streams. And when the challenge ends, we can direct them to other useful test prep resources as well. We redid the live stream. So each week we had a skills-focused live stream. For instance, one about vocab, one about listening, one about reading, and so on. And we broadcast these to our YouTube and Facebook pages. I'll talk a bit more about that in the tools section. And we ran a Kahoot quiz in each one as well. Our customer support team grew a lot during the pandemic, so we got rid of our Facebook group, which was just a spam magnet in the end, and instead made more social media posts so we could take snippets of our content, turn it into an interactive Instagram story or a post, and direct people back to the pages that way. And lastly, we tried to evergreen the content, so rather than remove it after each challenge, we now keep it up and available and just rejig it slightly to remove references to week 1, week 2, and so on. So this change in the output reflects the 4 main goals that we have with IYE. And these are also the 4 main benefits. So firstly, it's to boost language skills. Ultimately, we want our candidates to pass their test, and to do so, they need to improve their language skills often. We try to make a direct link between each lesson and the test, or each lesson and something in the healthcare workplace. And last IYE, we had over 75,000 individual sort of interactions with our activities, which was really good. Second goal and benefit is engaging and motivating. We keep our learners informed by emails. We provide everything for free, including the study planner, and we limit it to 6 weeks so that it keeps up momentum and energy. Last IYE, we had over 9,000 downloads, which was great. Third aim is to build brand awareness. Excuse me, our marketing team uses the campaign and the content to appeal to potential OET candidates and also offer value to our current candidates. And we do get a big bump in our website traffic from the IYE campaign. And lastly, we use it to analyze our learners' appetites. This is an area we can improve on, but we survey them after the challenge and we look at what posts and what content performs best to see what they're interested in. And that helps us to plan content and promote certain content as well. So we certainly find the challenge effective. And I'm conscious, of course, that running it as a fairly large company is one thing, and running it maybe as an individual teacher is another thing, but I'll run through some tips and tools that I hope can be of some use to others who want to do something like this. So some of my top tips, firstly, are to establish the goals. If you want to run an online challenge, think about why. Our goals for 2020 and 2022 were very different, moving from fun and distraction much more towards language development, skill development, engagement, and brand building. So it's a good idea to figure out what you want to achieve. If it's related to your business, growing your business, then you definitely want to have some kind of registration form or a downloadable asset for your learners to give their email to you. You might also want to use the challenge just to analyze progress or development of your students. So you'll need to make sure you're capturing their results as part of your challenge. Second thing is to scope it based on timeline resources, figure out what you want to do and how much you can do. Part of this is just figuring out what content you need, basically a needs analysis. So at this stage, I just had a list of all the skills and the language that I felt we needed to get across to our candidates. Before getting into the nitty-gritty of actually developing the content, it's good to know how you're going to run the challenge. You might use your website, which is what we did. You could use your LMS. You can run it exclusively via email, face-to-face in your classroom, or via social media as well. In our case, because we're not tracking progress or scores, and because we want our content linkable for other purposes, we just use our website. We built a landing page and other individual pages off that. For the activities, we use H5P mainly. We also have other delivery modes like email, the downloadable, fillable PDF, social media posts, and we use a range of tools for the live streams as well, which I'll cover shortly. Mock it up. I like to make things visual, and in this case, I wasn't building the pages myself, so it helps to explain the architecture or the layout using a variety of tools. So some of the ones that I use are Lucidchart or Miro to sort of map out the structure, how, in our case, how the web pages fit together. What happens if you click this button? Where do you go? Where can you go from that page? Very simple Excel or Google Sheets to list out the content. And as we created the content or wrote it in documents, we just link everything back to a master Excel sheet. I know everyone hates Excel sheets, but they can be quite handy. Google Sites and PowerPoint, also a nice way to make a really basic prototype, like if you click here or you click there, what should happen? And lastly, rather than writing a huge email to someone or scheduling 100 meetings, I like to just make little videos of these types of things using Screencastify, a free browser plugin, so I can make a quick video and send it off rather than take up everybody's time at different points in the day. So those are some tools that I think are really lo-fi and very useful to conceptualize or demonstrate and make prototypes. Next, we'll very quickly develop the content. This is the chunky part, but worth the investment if you can reuse that content in lots of different ways. Promoting, we put out little videos and social posts about 10 days out from the beginning of our challenge. And deliver it on delivery day, we launch our landing page. We make the study planner available for download. And each week we make the website material available. Once it's done, we look into the pages that are popular, what live streams were popular and what kind of questions came through as well, so that we can make it better next time. Just checking my time, I think I've got a few more minutes. I want to talk about 3 top tools, and 2 of them are super familiar, I think, to everybody here. So I'll spend a bit longer on the 3rd tool. First one is H5P. A few people have already talked about this, but we chose this. It's not a perfect tool. There are some mobile limitations, but it gave us a lot of creative freedom and flexibility. And it's better than just text on the screen for the candidates. At least they can be active, they can be doing something. We use things like course presentation, excuse me, drag and drop, flashcards, multiple choice question sets and things like that. The good thing is you can just embed it in the website without tracking, or you can get a plugin and track how people are going with it. And you can also reuse it in your LMS, or in our case, with share it with other partners. Oh, my voice. I think I can make it. The second one is Kahoot. I know everybody knows Kahoot. We're obsessed with it at OET. We're very competitive. And I know language teachers are probably sick of it, but we find our candidates, it's fresh and new for every cohort that we have. They absolutely love it. And we use it to give away test prep prizes at the end of our live streams. The third tool is Streamyard, and this is a tool that we use for live streaming. If you're thinking of live streaming, I can't recommend this tool enough. It's simple. They're really active in improving it all the time. And it just makes live streaming really fun and simple. It's browser-based as well. So a more complex tool like OBS, that my computer can't deal with that. It really slows down and gets glitchy, but Streamyard is lives in the browser. It's very smooth. There's a free version, so you can have a play around easily. So once you log in, I'll show this in a little more detail. You can create a broadcast here and connect your social media channels. Once you've done it once, they'll appear here every time. So when we schedule a live stream, we just click Facebook and YouTube, write our title, description, schedule the date. We upload thumbnails that we make in Canva, and it's ready to go. You can also just record it if you want to make a video. And some people use Streamyard for podcasting as well. When you log in, you're in the Streamyard studio, which looks like this. And only this white screen is what is broadcast to your audience. Underneath are just some display options. So if you have co-hosts, you can decide how you're laid out. And when you're sharing your screen, you can decide where you sit in relation to your slides. Down the bottom, these are Zoom-like tools, so mute, unmute settings. Share, you can invite co-hosts, and you can also use this option here to add yourself to the stream or remove yourself. I'll just show you an example of that. So that's adding myself. You can hover and remove, and you can also do the same for when you're sharing your screen. So I'm sharing to the website here. Over on the right are some other tools: comments, banners, brand, and private chat. And these are great tools to really customize and interact with your audience. So the comments, when you're live streaming, your Facebook and YouTube comments will show up in this box. And if you see one that you like, you just click on it and it will pop it up on the screen. So that's a great thing if you're asking questions or playing a game or something. In the banners section here, you can also customize these and add a question to pop up on your screen, or you can have a little ticker running across the screen as well. In the brand section, you can add your brand colors, your theme, add your logo. You can also create overlays, which are pictures sitting over the top of you, and video clips as well. You can upload them before you live stream and just click to add it to your stream. So a really fun tool that makes live streaming quite easy. So overall, we find IYE a real hit with our learners and our candidates. Preparing for a high stakes test like OET is hard work. It's very stressful. It's intimidating. And with IYE, we want to offer something a bit lighter, something manageable, achievable, something fun. And we find our candidates to be really enthusiastic participants, and our feedback is really positive. As I said, it's not a perfect product. Every time we run it, we try to learn something and do something better next time. But if you are looking for a way to engage existing or potential students, or if you're looking for an interesting way to create new